Well, for a little bit more on Chancellor Scholz's visit to South Africa, we're now joined via Zoom by the German Ambassador-Designate to South Africa, Ambassador Andreas Peschke. He's the designate ambassador to South Africa, Lesotho and Eswatini. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, and welcome.
Well, good evening.
Good. This visit by Chancellor Scholz, he was elected Chancellor literally just 6 months ago, and for him to take an Africa tour so soon, 6 months later, must mean that Africa is very important on his agenda.
Well, I think it is, as you say, an important sign. For us in Europe, in the European Union, Africa is, of course, our neighboring continent. And we put a strategic importance to our relationship between Europe, the EU, and Africa, and also between Germany and Africa and individual African countries. We had the EU-AU summit not so long ago. That was a time when the Chancellor and President Ramaphosa met for the first time. And so now we are very much looking forward to this bilateral visit and the talks between our leaders.
All right. Energy was a focus in Senegal. What are we expecting on his visit in South Africa?
Well, for us, frankly, South Africa is one of our prime and strategic partners on the African continent and one of our first interlocutors. So we have a very rich bilateral and multilateral agenda between Germany and South Africa. So the aim of the visit is to enhance this agenda, covering a wide range of topics like fighting climate change together, like doing a green and just energy transition in both of our countries, like fighting the global pandemic COVID-19 together, and also, of course, enhancing our bilateral investment and trade. The visit is also in the context of the G7 presidency, which Germany currently holds. We are going to have a G7 summit in June in Germany. And Chancellor Scholz also invited President Ramaphosa to take part in this summit as a guest. And so we would also like to discuss the international agenda in the framework of this visit.
All right, we'll talk about the international agenda just now. You did mention sustainability, and I see that there's going to be a launch of a South African-German consortium to advance technology research for the production of sustainable aviation fuels. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, indeed, the support to a just and green energy transition in both our countries is one of our joint strategic issues. I think it is really instrumental to fight climate change. And this joint project to do more research on sustainable and green aviation fuel is part of this agenda. I think it is based upon a technology originally quite some time ago developed in Germany. Now a big South African company in conjunction with German partners has developed a research reactor to produce this type of sustainable aviation fuel. And I think the goal of the cooperation is to make or to come from a research stage to an industrial stage of production.
All right, I'm sure the German community here looking forward to this visit as well. Will they get a chance to meet their Chancellor?
Well, not all of them, surely, because we have quite a big community in South Africa, because in Germany, as you know, everybody loves South Africa. But a number of our nationals will meet the Chancellor. And actually, we are also, I spoke about investment and trade. this year we are also marking the 70th anniversary of our bilateral Chamber of Commerce in South Africa, between South Africa and Germany. And the Chancellor will mark the occasion by visiting our chamber and marking the anniversary. And of course, there he will also meet quite a number of our German companies and businessmen and women.
All right, talking about tourism, because I believe that Germany represents the third single source of tourist arrivals in South Africa. So movement between the two countries, very important. What are some of your citizens talking about in terms of facilitating this travel? We had our reporter out in the field today, and they talked about visas being something that needed to be explored. What else are they telling you that can make travel between the two countries much easier?
Well, actually, you are completely right. Yeah. Quite a number of Germans like to come to South Africa to do business and also to visit. I think for visitors, it's actually not so difficult to come. I think the visa issue is mostly relevant to business people who want to come for a longer period of time. For visitors, it is important, of course, to have a reliable air link between South Africa and Germany. And here we have quite a number of companies, including the German Lufthansa, which is flying from South Africa to Germany and back. They have a connection almost every day per week, and they have been active on this link already for 60 years. So there's also a strong tradition. So that is quite important. And otherwise, I think it is always important to think about, new opportunities. And I think Lufthansa and their tourism daughter Eurowings, they are now thinking about a direct link between Germany and Kruger Park in order to bring visitors directly to one of the major beauties of Africa and of South Africa. So that might be another opportunity to enhance our tourism. And of course, it is quite important to continue our joint fight against the global pandemic, because as you remember, it was the global pandemic which for a number of times limited the opportunities of tourism in Europe, in Africa, in South Africa, in Germany. So I think we better fight intensively and effectively against the pandemic so that these restrictions will not occur again.
Yeah, Germany has done a lot to help South Africa. I think recently 100 million that was forwarded to assist with our fighting our pandemic. And I suppose this is the kind of relationship that continues to be nurtured between the two states.
Yes, we see ourselves as a close partner of South Africa. For us, this partnership really is a strategic one, and part of our cooperation agenda is concrete support to our joint agenda, fighting the pandemic. I think we could help with some financial means. And support and enhance the cooperation. The same is true for energy transition, where we are also looking for a closer collaboration. As you know, the international community committed to support South Africa in its energy transition at the Glasgow Climate Conference, also with international money. And Germany, of course, wants to contribute to this international effort to take the cooperation forward. So I think we are here active in quite a number of areas, which is good, and which we would like to continue.
Let's talk about international relations. One big issue on the table at the moment, of course, is Ukraine, Russia, that conflict and how it's affected Western Europe in particular. But I just wonder, will there be a conversation? Because we're seeing the effects of something happening in Europe really affecting us here in Africa and South Africa included.
Well, I am sure that our leaders will also talk about the geopolitical situation and the changed geopolitical situation in the aftermath of Russia invading Ukraine and the war in our European neighborhood. Of course, it has changed the situation dramatically inside Europe. But as you rightly said, it has really severe geopolitical repercussions. I think your correspondent was talking about rising energy prices, rising food prices. So we are well aware of these quite severe consequences of this conflict for the international situation for our partner countries all around the world. So we want to make this also part of our agenda. What can be done to alleviate these consequences? So I think Chancellor Scholz intends to put this also on the table of the agenda of the G7 leaders when they meet in June in Germany. And we are also discussing this within the framework of the UN. So I'm pretty sure that's also going to be part of the conversation of our leaders tomorrow.
All right. So, I mean, we've known Angela Merkel for so long. This is a new era for Germany, but for us. And I just wonder, Olaf Scholz, what is new that he's going to bring, do you think, to the Africa-Germany relationship?
I'm sure there's also going to be a lot of continuity in our posture. But of course, if anything, the relationship between Europe and Africa and the relationship between Germany and South Africa has become even more important in challenging times like this. So we really count on South Africa as an important partner economically, but also in the United Nations to stand up for international law, for human rights, but also for the stability on the African continent. I mean, Chancellor Scholz comes here directly en route from Niger, where we have a contingent of German soldiers actually supporting the army to train, to better cope with this security situation. South Africa is quite active in its own neighborhood to create more stability within the framework, for instance, of the SADC mission in northern Mozambique. And there are also currently talks about supporting this mission by the European Union, which we quite strongly support from Germany. So I think all these important questions of stability, of strategic nature, make the conversation between our leaders, between the Chancellor and the President, all the more important.
Your Excellency, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us this evening and giving us a little bit of a preview of what to expect. And we look forward to many conversations with you on this program in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.